Alright, so welcome to a new video. So it's been a little while since I've uploaded a video onto my channel, and the reason for that is because I've been working on my publishing business recently. So I've also kind of made the decision here that when it comes to what I'm uploading onto this channel, going forward it's going to be less scripted stuff. So typically I'll write out an entire script, work off that script, and just blah 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 blah, okay, and it goes on forever and ever. What I've decided to do is kind of just to more so talk about the things that I'm pursuing in my publishing business and pretty much showing off as much as I can. So there's the side of my publishing where obviously it's completely to myself, like it's for my eyes only. That's, that makes sense obviously to do things this way. But then of course we're going to be looking at actually showing off more books that I'm having published on my channel and sort of documenting the process of these books being created and ranking them on the first pages. So what I have coming up is more of that basically. So what we've done over the last sort of 6, 7, 8 months is we've been showing off this addition and subtraction workbook, Christmas word search, how to draw book, and then moving on we're going to be showcasing a new book very soon in a new niche that I'm going to be showing off on this channel. Okay, so everything that I do on my channel is geared toward getting my books, I'm talking about getting the books ranked on the first page, which we have done. We did that for the addition and subtraction workbook, did that for a Christmas word search, and we also did it for our how to draw book as well. So I'm going to be talking very briefly in just a second about what this new niche is going to be and the reason why I'm targeting this as well. Okay, so it's all going to kind of link together. And again, like I say, this is more so me now taking a non-scripted approach to my videos now and just talking about the things that I'm doing and how I'm doing them. Okay, so if you've been following my channel for a little while now, you see that I created, if I just zoom out quickly, I created this mess of a plan here. Okay, so what we were looking at doing was creating different books, linking all these books together. We're talking about things like not worrying about saturation and the market being flooded. We're talking about our launch plan, confirming that the niche has got traffic going to it, how we're going to be sort of spending our ad campaigns, and things like that. We've been talking about a lot of things lately. So what I wanted to do was just to move away now from the projects that we've been working on. So the how to draw was the last project that I was working on, but there's a point now where I have to move on. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at now is of course moving on from these books, but also we need to take into consideration what is happening with the books that we're working on. Okay, so what I'm going to be talking about in this video is something that you're going to come across many times when it comes to publishing, and it's mega important that you take this into consideration when publishing more books in future. So let's just zoom in here. So we had the last action that we had in this publishing plan was we had the how to draw books, and we're going to move away now from that, but just talk about it a little bit further before we move on, because like I say, it's all going to be linked. So important video, exciting video, because we have more books being shown off, and we're going to talk about that niche in just a second, so make sure that you stick around. So let's just touch before we move on, and this is an important part of moving on, is we have to touch upon the how to draw book that I created. Now this is not the cover for the book. I changed the cover for a couple reasons before I actually published the book. Now if you purchased that software through me before, you'll know that you would have gotten access to it. You'd have seen the book, you'd have seen me rank it onto the first page. We did all these things that we talk about, so getting ranked for certain keywords, running ad campaigns, we did all of that. We got ranked on the first page, and we've had 2 sales so far. So that's going to move me on to why are sales low for your books. So the factors that we put together when it comes to ranking all these books is that when it comes to making sales of these books is we have to, and I always sort of preach this, is that you have to enter into niches that have got traffic going to them. So workbooks, definite traffic. Christmas word search, definite traffic. How to draw, definite traffic. Okay, so you enter niches that have got big and proven amounts of traffic going to them, and then you put your book into that niche, and then you rank that book so people can see it and start buying it. Okay, so that's what's happened for our addition and subtraction workbook, which has been it's still ranked on the first page, which is still selling consistently. It's what happened for, where is it, the Christmas word search that I created. It's still ranked on the first page, and during Christmas it started selling. Okay, so that's great. But what I've come across with the how to draw book that I've created is that I've got it ranked, I've created what I thought was a good book, and then I've offered it into the marketplace, and the marketplace hasn't responded the way that I wanted. So this is going to be something that when you're ranking your books, you're going to run into this problem as well, and that is that you're going to get ranked, you're going to feel like you've done everything right, but you're just not making the sales that you expect to make. Okay, so this is a big factor now, and it is one of the reasons why a lot of people will quit publishing and that is that you just have to accept, that's annoying me, is that you just have to accept that not all of your books are going to sell. In fact, what we're looking at here in terms of watching what I'm doing, getting like 70 to 80% of the books getting ranked and making sales, is not normal. But that's the reason why my channel exists and the way that I do things exist, is because I want people to have the best chance as humanly possible of making sales. But even then, there is no guarantee whatsoever. Okay, so this is an important lesson that you need to learn, and you need to find that out for yourself, that it feels bad when your books don't make sales, right? That's just the way that it is. So there are some things outside of that, other than being like, oh well, it's too bad, my book is sucking. There are some things outside of that that we can look into in order to sort of increase our chances of actually having success with our books. Okay, so the How to Draw book, for example, has only been live for I think 7 days. So it's very early days, and we're still running ad campaigns too at the moment. We've had 2 sales from our ads at the moment, with around $20 of spend on those ads. Okay, so one of the big things, let me just enlarge this now as we talk about this. One of the big things that people do when it comes to not giving up on a book is that they'll keep plastering ad campaigns to their books, right? So you'll end up where maybe you've made like 50 or 60 sales, but you're ending up spending like $500 on ad campaigns. Okay, so the one thing that you need to do if you are running ads to your book is to make sure that you monitor them. Okay, because you'll find that it's hard to let go of sales once they start coming in from ads, but you have to establish whether those ads are actually working for you in terms of getting you organic traffic as well. Okay, so if you're not making a direct profit from your ad campaigns, you have to look then at your organic sales and say to yourself, like, is this worth it? Is what I'm doing worth it? Because you can't just keep spending money on your ad campaigns, right? So if we just come into my ads account here for the How to Draw book, now the other campaigns that I've set up that are being run to this book are exclusive for the people that purchased the software through me and got the bonus through me. But the one campaign that I've decided to set up after all of that is just an auto campaign that I've named One Auto to Rule Them All. Okay, so we've had 14 clicks here and no sales. Okay, so at this point, it's kind of with $12 being spent, you're kind of thinking at this point, well, maybe I need to turn this campaign off because I'm spending so much money. It doesn't look like it's converting. So there are 2 things that you need to take into consideration here. The first being that you need to give your ad campaigns time before you start turning them off. And the second thing that you need to take into consideration is, when am I spending too much money for no return at all? Okay, so when I look at running ads, I look to use them to get my books ranked onto the first page. Okay, so I'll launch the book, I run a ton of ads, get the book ranked onto the first page, and then look at slowly turn the ad campaigns off or adjusting them. So if you don't have a purpose when it comes to running your ads, and you're just running them hoping that the ACoS is going to be super low to the point where you're going to be making profit. And to clarify here, to make profit, direct profit from your ad campaigns, you're going to be looking at around like a 20% ACoS for these type of books, right? So it's very hard to achieve that straight away with the ad campaigns, right? That takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of tweaking. Okay, so you also have to give yourself that sort of cutoff point when you're saying to yourself, like, you know what, I'm not actually making enough money to make this worth it, right? Or I'm losing so much money that this just isn't worth it anymore. So when your books are struggling, the temptation here is to start spending tons and tons of money on your ad campaigns and never actually, I'm not going to say give up on the project, but never really start seeing any kind of return for it. Okay, so if we just go a little bit deeper, and this is going to make sense now as I go into this campaign. So as we go into the campaign that I've created here, the One Auto to Rule Them All, just because it's an expensive one for 90 cents a click. So let's just take a look at the search terms now that Amazon is targeting for our books. So what we'd spent, I think, was $12. But the problem is, when it comes to turning off the ad campaigns too soon and assuming that your book is dead, it's gone, it's got no chance of making sales, the problem is that this is what a lot of people have been told to do, is that they need to turn off their ad campaigns after 10 clicks. So you'd be looking at this thinking, well, it's hit 13 clicks. Is it time to turn the ad campaign off? And the answer is no, because pay-per-click Amazon advertising works in a very, very funny way, where you might just end up with 1 or 2 keyword terms that actually start converting and making you sales. Okay, so when it comes to turning these off, you need to be looking at the actual products and the keywords that Amazon is targeting in your auto campaigns. Okay, so instead of just turning them off after 13 clicks, you want to look to see how the individual products and keywords are performing first. So what I like to do typically is to allow these clicks here to get to around 10 before turning off the individual keywords or products. Okay, so not the entire campaign. We're going to let Amazon, the auto ads, do its thing and pick these for us. Okay, so some of these just aren't going to work for us. Okay, so as you can see, we've got 3 here already, and by the time this gets to like 10 clicks and this one gets to 10 clicks, we'll look at turning these specific keywords off. Okay, so how to draw books, how to draw animals, we're going to look at turning them off when if they don't convert by the time that they get to sort of between 10 and 12 clicks. Okay, so not the entire amount of clicks that we have, which is a big mistake that people make. And the reality is that if you're going to be entering into competitive niches, you'll probably have to spend money. Okay, you're going to have to spend money to work out what's going to convert for you and what isn't. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm not giving up on this book just yet, is because I need to monitor these ad campaigns first. So regarding that, there does have to be a point, doesn't there, when you just stop, because you can't keep running ad campaigns to a book and it not making you any money, it not getting you ranked, it not making any sales, and nothing happening. You have to stop at some point. So for me, when I launch a new book, I give it a kind of, we did speak about this on the whiteboard here, we gave it a 2-week period where we're going to allocate as much money as we can during that 2 weeks, or whatever we're comfortable with during those 2 weeks. And if we hit that point and we're not happy with the return, we're going to start looking at, fading the project out, basically. Okay, so it's not been 2 weeks yet, it's only been a few days. I think maybe 5, 6, 7 days that the book's gone live. So we're going to give it a bit more time before we start looking at sort of winding the project down, or just sort of letting it do its thing for a little bit longer. Okay, because you're going to find that if you attach yourself to a project and you're just spending hundreds, and I know people that spend hundreds of dollars for prolonged periods that do not see any kind of return, and they're just hell-bent on sticking out these campaigns or these books, right? So it's painful because there might just be a problem fundamentally with your book. So Chris has to swallow, the hard pill to swallow, which that maybe he's created a book that people just don't want. Okay, I can't establish that just yet, but that is the reality, and that is what makes pretty much most people quit when it comes to publishing, is that they publish a book, they give it some time, and then they quit because it's not working out, right? So going forward, we have to identify what we can do better in the next book that we create. So I'm kind of new to activity books to some extent. I've never done a how to draw a book before, and I have to take that into consideration, that maybe I just missed the mark with something. So like I say, it's still early. I'm not going to worry about it too much at the moment, but we have to be prepared for this to happen. So at the moment, there's nothing that I can do other than monitor my ad campaigns and just see how they start converting, see where the book is ranked on Amazon, see where it's moving around, and just let it do its thing for a little bit longer, let it breathe, and we're going to move on now. Okay, so we have to identify what we can do better in our next book, which is going to move me on now to the next niche that I'm going to be targeting, and what I plan to do to increase my chances of having success with that book. Okay, so hopefully this non-scripted video of me just ranting is making sense at this moment. Okay, so one of the things that I identified that possibly I could have done better, and I always preach on my videos, is to differentiate my book, to make it stand out in some way. So when people look at it, they're not comparing it to the other books, or they are comparing it to other books in the niche, and they're saying to themselves, well, this guy or this book is actually adding something different or better that's going to make me buy it ahead of the competition, right? So differentiating was a big factor here that I think maybe I missed out on, because I hit like a bog standard 101 animals, which people have done before. That doesn't mean to say that you can't make sales without differentiating or making, a better cover or things like that. But I think if you can do it, it can make a big difference. Okay, so going forward into our next niche, the next book that I'm going to be showing off very, very soon on my channel, we're going to look at differentiating in some way, so that we can get more attention to our book. When we start running those ads to them, I want to see better conversions than this here. Okay, I want to start seeing better conversions than that. And one of the ways we're going to try that is by differentiating. Okay, so moving on to what said niche is going to be, we're going to be looking at children's word searches for the next book. Okay, so there is the possibility here that when it comes to these type of books, that I'm going to be creating multiple books for these. But what I want to do, if we just go back to my plan here for the books that I've managed to shamelessly promoting my achievements here, but the books that I've ranked on the first page for the keywords that I've been targeting. So we did addition and subtraction workbook, which is kind of niche down. We did Christmas word search for adults, which was kind of niche down. We did how to draw for animals, which is kind of niche down. So I want to take things a little bit further now and kind of go for a more broader niche, which is just going to be word searches for kids. Okay, so I'm 100% hell-bent that there is no such thing as a saturated niche when you know how to position your book, when you know how to run advertising campaigns and things like that. Okay, so if you're watching my how to draw, you know, a lot of people already, during the release of that software, people were already saying it's flooded, it's saturated. They said it with the addition subtraction workbooks. They said it with the Christmas word search books. They say it's all flooded and saturated. But if you've been watching my how to draw case study, you would have seen that we got the book ranked within what, the first or second day of it going live, which was pretty incredible. The only unfortunate part is that it's not converting as well as I'd hoped. But getting the exposure was always the first step, is to get your book seen by people and get it ranked. Okay, that's one of the biggest factors here. So like I say, I remain adamant that everyone can find a way to get visibility to their books in competitive niches. So the next one that we're going to be doing, it's going to be coming up soon, is going to be word searches for kids. Now, I'm looking at these, they all look the same, right? I don't know if this is from the same publisher. Am I going crazy here, or is this the exact same publisher, or is it not? I think they are the same publisher, aren't they? Yeah, so these are the same people, right? Okay, but what we can see here is we have the very, I don't know what the word is, formulaic, is that the word? Kind of everything looks the same here in this niche. Okay, so we have book covers that kind of all look the same, and that's great. Like, we should always be kind of in theme with what other people are doing. But what I want to do now in the book that I create is to actually offer something different and get ranked on the first page. Okay, so this is going to be a really interesting, I don't know if I'm going to make a case study from it yet. I think if you're interested in seeing a case study from it, then let me know in the comments, because it's going to be a super interesting one that I don't think anyone will have done before, getting ranked in really broad niches and showcasing ways to differentiate inside those niches as well. Okay, so that's what's going to be coming up, and the reason for that is that I've got a pretty interesting way that I'm going to be differentiating my word search. You're not going to believe what it is, you won't be able to guess, but that's going to be coming up in upcoming videos. And so that's one of the reasons. The other reason is because we can see all those gloriously low BSRs. They're all so low and juicy. Everyone wants a piece of them, but you know, not everyone can get that. That's the way that it is. But you know, these are the type of books that I want to target. Okay, with really low BSRs, and of course, when it comes to creating word searches, I think in terms of niche possibility, I think this is why word searches have been so popular for so long, is because it lends to a ton of opportunity, doesn't it? So you have seasonal word searches, you have word searches for kids, word searches for seniors, adults, large print, everything. Okay, so if you can think of it, you can probably attach a word search to it. Okay, but for the one that I'm doing, the first one, we're going to be looking at doing the kind of broadest niche that we can. Okay, so incredibly, I'm hesitant to say ambitious because I feel quite confident still, but it's going to be a super interesting pursuit here that I'm going to be showing off on my channel. Right, so we've already done one word search, which was the Christmas one, which was selling during Christmas. So like I say, the seasonal niches is another reason why I'm happy to get into word searches, because if I just load up my the chart thing. Okay, so this is the chart thing from Helium 10. I have to uninstall this extension or turn it off pretty much every time I use it, because it screws around with the searches. So if you're using this, then you'll probably have found that happens if you're using multiple extensions. But my point is, when it comes to word searches, that it does lend to the opportunity to create seasonal books as well. So what we can see here, obviously a Christmas word search is going to be more popular during Q4. So when we released it, we got as low as I think like 20,000-ish. Okay, so that's not bad. So what I expect to happen is that as we approach Q4, again, and given that I'm still ranked on the first page, I think we were, for this search term. So yeah, we're still, where did it go? So we're still ranked on the first page. So when Q4 comes around, I 100% expect, especially now we've got reviews on this book, I 100% expect to start making sales from this as well. So that's why seasonal niches are pretty awesome, actually, because if you fill out your year well enough with the seasonal niches, you know, you can sort of profit every single time they come around. And I expect to have, you know, maybe $100 to $200 extra this year just because of this book that I created last year, right? Okay, so that's pretty awesome. And we'll be following, again, we'll be following the progress of this book here as Q4 starts to come around again. Okay, so the same could be said for our addition and subtraction workbook, is that while it's not necessarily as seasonal as a Christmas word, so this is kind of like these type of books, they're seasonal to some extent, but they will still sell throughout the year. So for example, you could see here during, is this September, it dips really quite low to, I think we got to like 50,000 at some point, and then during Q4 it went mad and started sucking, nothing happened, and then as kids went back to school, it started dropping again, and then I expect it to start dropping again soon. Okay, so again, kind of seasonal, and that's one of the reasons why I'm happy to enter into these niches and just let them sort of come around each year and start making more sales. Okay, I'm getting off topic here. Okay, so yeah, my point was here is that the next book that I'm going to be showing off, like I say, this year, leaving pretty much everything out there for everyone to see, is going to be this word search. I don't know what age group just yet, but we're currently working on it, and I'm going to be showing it off on the channel very soon. Okay, so the point of this video was moving on from your projects. Okay, so trying to identify why your sales were not working out for your last book, and then moving on from that. So you can work on your book cover, you can work on your ads, you can work on your interior A+ content, work on everything and try and figure out what was happening. You know, it's quite formulaic when it comes to actually ranking your book, okay, but when it comes to actually making sales, it's a different issue altogether, because that's a very personal thing that you have to identify within the niche. Okay, so try and identify that and then work on what your next book is going to be. So you have to move on at some point. We spoke about turning your ads off, monitoring them, and just not going crazy with them, because you just have to move on at some point. You really do, and you have to move on, and you have to put all these ads behind you, give it that sort of 2 to 3 week period of running ads, and then sort of assess from there. And then what we're going to be doing moving on from there is looking at new niches. Okay, because one of the best things that I ever did, and what makes me you know, most of my money now, was moving into niches that I wasn't comfortable with, or niches that I was new to, right, or I wasn't particularly that interested in. So I'd never been interested in word searches or coloring books or math workbooks and things like that, but those are the niches that when I entered into them, those are the ones that actually started making sales. Okay, so when it comes to moving on, as we've just seen here, what I'm going to be looking at is these typically saturated niches. I hate using that word, but that's what everyone calls them. You know, like competitive niches like this here. That's going to be the next sort of thing for me. Okay, so there's no reason why you can't look at evergreen books as well. There's no reason why you can't look at the seasonal books also. So this video, it was just kind of to give an update and talk about things that are coming up on the channel very soon. In the next sort of few days, I'm going to be showing off more of these books. You know, if you're interested in this pursuit, like if you like the direction that I'm taking the channel, where I'm showing more things off, talking about the projects that I'm working on, then make sure that you subscribe, or, you know, give a like to the video, because it really encourages me to actually start showing off more and more books. The you know, the more feedback that I get, it's very important for me to get motivated to continue to show things off, right? So that would be great to have you on board, because you can go ahead and then follow everything that I'm doing, because at the moment I'm not sticking to my every Wednesday schedule. I'm just kind of putting batches out there as and when. So it is important that you go ahead and subscribe so that you can get notified as and when things come out. So yeah. Okay, so the next video that I create, and again, I don't know what day it's going to be, so make sure that you have the notification bell selected, is going to be on actually creating some of this book. Okay, the next book is going to be, we're going to start creating it, I'm going to be showcasing it. We're not going to be missing anything out here, so make sure that you're there. It's going to be in the next few days. I'm not exactly sure when, but yeah, exciting times. Can't wait to show you, and I'll see you in that video very soon.